one of the criticisms when I was looking at the pro-life movement and thinking there's some issues and some problems is that it seemed event-driven, that it seemed like there was an event. There was like a march at some point in time, and that was exciting. And you did it, and then you waited till the next time, or coming to your church, or you're going to bring a display to your church. And so your pro-life activism and that sort of deal was connected to a vote that you can make, or an event that you could go to, or a check that you could write. And the abolitionists of slavery were not event-driven, they were ideologically driven to drive home the point. Now Sarah Cleveland, I'm going to kind of build her up a little bit here, and it just doesn't matter, I don't have to, because the way we met Sarah Cleveland was because we could see that she was constantly standing up. She was constantly doing agitation and assistance. We had just done a yard sale here for heroic women, like Toby had mentioned, and we're all over Facebook. We're kind of paying attention to stuff. And then I see this picture one day, and it's of this young lady who's like standing out in front of her house with all these tables full of like stuff that she's selling, and she's got an Abort 73 shirt on, and she's like, "Ah." And I was like, abolitionist, because I trolled your page. I was like, oh, snap. The girl who's got the agitation signs, that's working for, doing CBR, is also selling stuff to help women, or agitation, or assistance in agitation. And so it was, I don't know, I think I may have done something stupid and been like, yo, Grant, contact her, or something like that. But pretty much like a week later, Sarah made an Abolitionist Society of Ohio page, which is the probably the largest abolitionist society, actually, in the United States of America. So Sarah's going to come talk to us about abolitionizing the culture, the daily work of an abolitionist.
Get like a clicker or whatever. Yay! I haven't even started yet. That's pretty cool. Thank you. That one right there. Okay. Hi, I think I've met a lot of you already. I'm Sarah. I've been doing this work for a while. I've always been pro-life, but just started recently, the last couple years, becoming an actual activist and doing actually out things at the church, on sidewalks and things like that. But even before that, just a little bit about my background. I'm an RDMS, so I have a medical background. I'm a registered diagnostic medical sonographer. It's an ultrasound tech. For almost 9 years, I worked in one of the largest hospitals in Columbus, Ohio, doing all kinds of scans, not just OBGYN, I have other specialties as well. But one of the things that I saw over and over again, we used to have 4 abortion facilities in Columbus alone. We're down to 3, yay. We just closed one down last spring, which is a huge deal. But being one of the largest hospitals in Central Ohio and having all these abortion facilities is, with any surgical any surgical procedures, there's going to be complications. So part of my job was when women would have abortions and they'd have come in for pain, bleeding, infections, clots, anything like that, they'd come into the emergency room for treatment. Part of my job was to treat these women that are post-abortive coming in from a medical standpoint and evaluating them. Once they've been triaged, blood pressure, all that, one of the first tests that they get was actually another ultrasound. And the medical terminology for what I was supposed to then do was called RPOC, or rule out retained products of conception. So this is again based on medicine in layman's terms that basically meant make sure all the baby parts were out of there, they didn't miss anything. So I did that for 9 years. I've done thousands of pelvic ultrasounds. So you didn't have to be pro-life to actually see a severed hand, cut at the wrist, left behind, and a blood-filled uterus with all 5 fingers and bones still intact on my ultrasound screen. That was neither pro-life, pro-choice, it's just what it was. This happens every day. And I was reminded about it on a constant basis. So I was able to help these women, minister to them, talk to them. A little bit about what I was going to talk about tonight was like Russell said, the daily work of an abolitionist. And even before I met Russell, and this is the kind of work that I did, and even before I became an actual activist out on the street, even within my own job, and that's kind of something I want to talk to you guys about today. I don't know what you guys' actual paying jobs are, or what you do, but within your job, you have an opportunity daily, whether it's your job or at your home or in your circles, to say or do something to combat abortion. When I was an ultrasound tech working in the hospital, and I left my job over the summer to do this full time, to do activism, cut our family's income by like 60% by me leaving, but God has provided. We have the opportunity in our own environments and where we are to speak about abolition all the time, every day. I risked my job just about daily whenever I was in there to talk to women about the truth about abortion. I was talked to by management about the things I could and couldn't say. Nothing I said was illegal or bad or wrong, but to them it was like, turn the screen away from them, don't do this, don't do that. And so I put myself on the line to speak truth and have healing, help these women become healed from their abortions, give them crisis pregnancy information in the emergency room, and I'm supposed to be neutral, just do the test and move on. I'd give them post-abortive healing and all that kind of thing. So anyways, that's a little bit about me. I have a medical background, so that has actually helped a lot. In some of the work that I do, it can actually answer a lot of questions about prenatal development. I've also seen the direct effect of women who have been post-abortive, that within the first few days afterwards, the pain and how abandoned they are, they oftentimes come into the emergency room alone. I've also done things like miscarriages and different things like that, ectopic pregnancies. So that's a little bit about my background, what I've been doing for the last 9 years, and then especially the last 2 years, I've become kind of, especially the things that I've seen for women that have been hurt in these babies, I've become, I don't want to use the word angry about it, but on fire for this. You cannot see what I've seen without doing something about it. What kind of Christian would that make me, to see what I've seen and know what I know and shrug my shoulders and do nothing about it? And that's really something that I've really taken to heart the last couple years in my walk with God, is what kind of person would that make me? Everything that you guys have seen here today, now you know. It is on you now to do something about this. What kind of Christian is it going to make you? Is if you go about only doing something maybe once in a while about abortion. This is a crisis. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of numerous different things that you can do. Not everybody is comfortable holding a sign. I encourage signs and I encourage showing people what abortion is. I don't want anybody to hide it. The abortion industry wants to hide abortion. The pro-life movement, abolitionists, why are we helping them by covering it up? We absolutely need to show what abortion is, but there's other things that you can do. So I'm going to give you guys a couple examples in your everyday life, different things that you can do. This is just something that I can do, but again, everybody has their skill in their workplace or what they do for a living. Here I am after I've quit my ultrasound job at the hospital. This actually is an RV out in Virginia, and I offer my services and train nurses to give free limited ultrasounds to women in need when they don't have any medical care or they're abortion minded. So this is me training a nurse out in Virginia in a little portable ultrasound. It looks like kind of like a nice room, but it's actually a RV that they're fixing up. And here's a lady from the church who's volunteering so we can practice scanning to helping women. So this is assistance. This is something that you can do. You can always, again, the crisis pregnancy centers need help. They're based on most times volunteers and donations. The abortion industry makes money off of this. The pro-life movement doesn't make money off of saving babies. The abortion industry makes money off of killing them, though. This is the Genocide Awareness Project with the Center for Bioethical Reform. It's a huge display. We go on college campuses and we show people what abortion is. We're setting up actually right there. But we don't just stand there and say, look at these pictures, look how horrible it is. We have to love these women and men and anybody that sees these, explain it to them out of love and compassion. And I'm sporting an AHA shirt, of course, so seeding the culture then with that symbol, people ask me what it is. So talking to people lovingly, pointing it out, what it is. That's the picture Russell was talking about that he came across on Facebook, and I guess he liked it. So here I am in front of my house in Ohio. And this is the third year I've done this. I actually don't price anything because people say, well, I really don't have time to do anything abolition. Of course, a lot of people don't know the word abolition yet. They say pro-life. I don't have time, I'm busy. I got my weekends full. I got to take the kids to practice. I got this yard sale going on, all this stuff. I'm like, how can you just do abolition while you do that stuff? You don't do it separate from your life. It's who you are. It is your life. It's part of who you are. If there's children being mutilated and dismembered, and you say, I'll put that on the shelf and I'll do that later, that's not right. You incorporate that. So this is just kind of an example that anybody can do. This third year I've done this, call this my abolitions yard sale, I guess. But nothing's priced. All throughout the year, if people are like throwing away stuff, or I just find stuff or whatever, I just gather stuff. I have 3 sheds in my backyard, and just keep all that stuff, and then one day get tables from a local church and just fill my yard. And Aaron, my husband's here, he helps me carry it out. But it's me and the kids do a lemonade stand for the moms and stuff like that. But people come up and say, nothing's priced. How much is this stuff? And I was like, well, everything is free here, but I'm asking for a donation to kids in foster care, or you can pick something, the local crisis pregnancy center. I'm also, my husband and I are also foster care parents. Kids in foster care. And this is to end abortion in the community. So I'm telling people about abortion. I'm telling people about kids in foster care. So I'm helping, I'm assisting. But that's also kind of agitating people, the fact that I'm even telling them about it. They just think that they're buying some old jammies or something, and they get to learn about abortion, and they're like, what? But it's kind of cool because the community, there's been a couple people that bought a couple things, and I had 2 families this past summer that came up with a truckload of stuff and was like, can I donate more stuff to your yard sale? So I got rid of a bunch of stuff, but now I still have a whole shed full of stuff, because even after people are buying more stuff, so next year I can sell more stuff. In 2 days I made over $310 for kids in foster care. It's pretty awesome. So, and an Abort 73 shirt, that was before I had an AHA shirt. But yeah, they're good too. Here's a table that we set up at a local church. Here's a couple of my team members. There's Frankie and Spencer and Megan, a couple of my Ohio clan up there. We had a table set up with some information there. We're also getting personhood signatures, telling people what the personhood movement is about. This is kind of a cool picture. I like this one. This is a Obama tent. Was set up at Ohio State University. They were there a couple times a week. And we went there with signs. We actually had signs all over campus. We had our AHA signs. We had our CBR choice signs. We had all kinds of stuff where we call it the Oval. It's this huge area where everybody comes to hang out. And if it's hot outside, whatever, everybody's there in their bikinis hanging out. And it's the hangout place on campus at Ohio State. There's this Obama tent there. And we were out kind of on the other side of the Oval. And we were leaving. And I sat down for a minute to take a break with my sign. And I just stood there going down. So with my sign, and somebody snapped this picture real quick. So, and just for the record, whether it was Romney or anybody else out there, I would have done the same thing. So I don't care who's running for president, we will be silent when abortion is abolished. This is a neat little thing. When my son was in preschool last year, he's in the orange shirt down at the bottom, they asked parents to come and talk to the kids at school about something that they do, what does your mommy do? What does your daddy do? I'm like, ooh, let me come talk to the kids. So, and I just tell them, I'm an ultrasound tech, and everybody's like, oh, that's a neat job. You get to see the happy babies and stuff. And again, you make it appropriate. It's preschool, for crying out loud. But I brought ultrasound picture, a big ultrasound picture. I brought a little 12-week fetal model. This is actually a preemie diaper from the NICU at the hospital we used to work there, showing the kids these diapers. So here's a room full of, there's teachers, there's other parents, there's these kids. And so I have this whole audience. So I say, yeah, I got to see you when you were in your mommy's belly. Did you know that you used to be really tiny? And I'd hold up the fetal models. They're like, wow, we used to be that big. And I was like, yeah, and you know what? You used to be even smaller than this. You used to be, if you put your pencil on a paper and put a little dot, you used to be that small, and that was still you. And they're like, wow, that was so cool. So they got to touch the diaper and see all that stuff, and just abolitionizing the culture and talking about life before birth and all these children. Children are so excited to learn this and see this, and that's kind of cool. So again, every day, and I'm actually in my scrubs there, I was gonna head to work afterwards, but just another example of something you can do, take the opportunity. Here is, again, at Ohio State on a different day, where Obama and Biden actually came to the campus. They were actually just down the street, and people had to go see them speak, had to go. I think there was like 30,000 people that came to like support them that day. Were in line to go, so they were met with our signs upon getting in to go see him. So we have some graphic images. We also have, you know, the words and things like that. But it was like all down the sidewalk there, and we spread out, and we had, I don't know, 24, we had 20, 22 people there that came out for that. We had people that drove from 2 hours, 3 hours, all over from Ohio to come to that like one event. So we held signs, but we also, again, engaged people, talked to people. Not too many people wanted to get out of line to come talk to us, but there was a few people that did, and then afterwards they came over and talked to us as well. But planting seeds, you're planting seeds. People are like, what is that sign? What's going on? So that was cool. Here is just downtown Cincinnati. No reason other than you're out on the sidewalk and people are doing their normal everyday business, and we're waking them up. I mean, we need to wake up the church, we just need to wake up the culture, society. So we had signs that went down the sidewalk there. This is outside of a high school. This is kind of cool. The high school's over on that side, and the students and parents, they when they pick up the kids, they're over there, and then they come down this way. Most of them have already like gone away. This is kind of one of the girls that lingered for a little bit to ask questions. And usually I have two signs. I have one facing the school, facing here, but I'm just explaining that particular choice sign to her. But yeah, we go to high schools, and it's a lot different. The reaction that we get from downtown when we go downtown, or the colleges or high schools. High schools, and Todd, you're talking about going to like junior highs. I haven't hit a junior high yet, but even just the high schools, the difference between high school and like college campuses is like huge. High school kids are, wow, that's a baby, oh, that's bad. And then you start getting older and college and beyond college, and it's almost like people's hearts have become more hardened and they find ways to justify it. High school and even junior high is even better. They still see this and still aren't, I don't know if corrupted by society yet. But I have a lot of success actually at high schools. I've gone to this high school, which has one of the highest pregnancy rates in the area of Ohio that I go to. Just as one of the highest pregnancy rates. The opposing football team always come when they are rivals and having football games. The one team, to make fun of the other school, dresses up like Hicks and whatever, Cowboys, whatever, and the other school that's the rival of this school comes dressed up like pregnant girls because they're making fun of that school because they have such a high abortion or pregnancy rate. Like that's the joke. It's really funny, huh? Funny joke. So that's how well known this school is about their high pregnancy rate. There's myself, my friend Alicia. This is a church. We've done a couple churches. Well, I've only done two. This is a church actually walking distance from my house. This one really made my husband nervous because I could walk to this place from my house, and everybody knows who I am in town. A kind of a neat story about this church, and of course they say that they're pro-life, and we knew otherwise from this pastor, that she was saying that basically in name only. So we were there, not too eventful, had some eyes, had a couple good conversations, but it was a small town, not anything too drastic. So when we left that day, and we're like, well, I wonder if anything really happened. Like, you know, something probably did happen, but like nothing big happened. Well, then I'm also an advisor to our local crisis pregnancy board. I'm not actually on the board, I'm an advisor to the board. They had asked me last year to come on to help them just make decisions and that kind of thing. Well, the night before, this is a couple weeks later, the night before our next meeting, I had the president that runs it say, hey, are you gonna be on the meeting tomorrow? And I said, well, yeah. He goes, well, good, there's really something really important I need to talk to you about. I just wanna check something with you. Well, what had happened was this pastor who, you know, is pro-life, you know, we already buy all these diapers type of thing, and we do enough type of attitude, who came out to me, talked to me twice while we were standing out here and said, you know, you just need to put down your signs and come in and sing with us type of thing instead. And I said, no, thank you. What she ended up doing was called all the local churches in Morrow County, or at least most of the local churches in Morrow County, and told them, she found out that I was affiliated with the local crisis pregnancy center. She advised those churches that, told them what we did, and she said, if you give to She told those churches not to give to that local crisis pregnancy center anymore because they're affiliated with this horrible Sarah Cleveland person. So she actually claimed to be pro-life, but then she advised all the churches, you need to cut off your communication and your sponsorship and your donations to the local crisis pregnancy center unless that crisis pregnancy center severs ties with me. So it was like an ultimatum. So when I went in, I didn't know this, I talked to the director of the president of the crisis center was telling me about this and wanted to know in front of the board, this was kind of, I didn't have anything to prepare in front of the board, says, you know, what did you do? He wasn't saying whether he agreed or not with what I did. What did you do? Can you explain it to me? So I did kind of a little presentation, kind of like what Todd did. You know, we need to wake up the church. Like, can you understand what she's doing here and what's going on? And he said, well, we just need to think about this. So I presented the case, and they also were actually sponsoring me, giving me a little bit of money every month to do projects, like get supplies and make signs and stuff like that. So I was looking at being basically fired or kicked off from the advisory board, and also losing some of my funding for making signs and doing different things like that. And they said, you know, what say you? And I explained it that we need to go to these churches. And I said, listen, I said, I'm not going to stop doing this. I said, if that means that I can help you in some other way and I'm not on this board anymore or I lose funding, then so be it. I said, I don't want to hurt you guys. I don't want to hurt the Crisis Pregnancy Center because they're on a shoestring budget and I don't want to do what I'm doing to hurt them. So I said, if that means I can help you in another way or whatever and I resign, then that's fine, but I will not stop going to churches and holding people accountable for this. I won't stop. So he said thank you, and I was asked to leave. And I told Aaron, I said, I think I just got fired from the Crisis Pregnancy Center board. I don't know what I did. I said, I know I didn't do anything wrong and God will take care of it. Well, a couple nights later, the president calls me of the Crisis Pregnancy Board, and he said, we voted on it. And he said, we want to thank you for doing what you're doing, and we want you to stay with us. He said, thank you for being so brave and to stand up against this church and these other churches. And I said, okay, and then there was relief. I said, but what if they lose funding from you guys or whatever, and you need money to help these moms? I don't want to hurt that. He said, God will provide. If we're up against these churches, he said, we're doing what's right. So he said, not only do we want you to stay on the board, we want to keep giving you a little bit of money every month so you can continue doing this. And God will take care of those churches and he will take care of us. So I commend that Crisis Pregnancy Center, because how many centers would actually do that? They would probably be like, that one. He's like, we need more diapers. We're going to disassociate with you, crazy Sarah, and you know your friends or whatever. But they stood up, and it was such an awesome. I remember telling Russell about this, how cool that was to get that phone call from that guy and say, we thought about it and voted it, and we really feel you're doing what's needed. So, yeah, that was cool.
I would have gave you a $5 raise just for principle.
All right, thanks. This is one of our babies we brought out of foster care and took into our home. This was actually the day that we were handed little Liam. I don't want to look at him because I'll start crying. Sorry. These are real kids, you guys. We're not just against a medical procedure that kills them. We are for loving and helping and rescuing these kids. Liam was born addicted to heroin. And so many people have told me that it would have been better for him to die and been aborted than to be in foster care. I don't know, whoever does research or outreach here, I'm sure people have heard things like that. Well, what about all those kids in foster care? Isn't it better for them to have been aborted? Look at those kids that are being abused. Isn't it better for them to end their life now before they know that pain? And I'm not, of course, saying that any child deserves to have abuse from any adult, let alone their parents. But when we take in children in our home, it's very personal. That's like saying that baby should have been dismembered instead of being rescued. So I tell people, how is that better for a child to be mutilated and killed than to be rescued? If a child's at risk for being hurt and abused, neglected, why are we advocating for their death instead of rescuing those kids? So again, this is something, not everybody can do foster care or take in children, but just consider the kids in foster care. There are so many kids out there, and the adoption has been brought up a couple times. And we're what's called foster to adopt. So if there's any foster care children that come into our home that are not reunified with their biological family, we have already been certified to adopt them. We're not actively out there searching yet in our life to pursue adoption, but we are completely open to that. We had Liam in our home for a couple months, and we got him happy and healthy before he went back to his grandma this past year. I think I have more pictures of other kids we've taken in. Here's 2 other foster boys we've taken in. Their parents also had problems with heroin and were neglected pretty badly. But this is right before they left, and you can see how happy they are. And they were rescued. They went back to an aunt and an uncle. So these are real kids. I just want to show these pictures to remind everybody. We've seen the ultrasound and the gory pictures, but these are real children that are vulnerable for abortion. The mother, the biological mother of these 2 boys, she actually is a mother to 6 children. Only 2 of them are living. She aborted 4 of her children because she didn't know who the fathers were. The only reason those 2 boys are alive is because she figured out who their biological fathers were. That's the only reason that they're alive and not aborted. So we need to rescue these children. And so those are, when I'm asked how many children do I have, I say I have 2 keepers. I have 2 biological, but I'm really a mother to 5. I have 3 other foster kids that we haven't seen for a really long time, but they lived with us for almost a year. These 2 boys did. This is one of my favorite pictures. It's so cute. These are our 2 kids, Anna and Wes. These are our actual biological children. And this is Liam when he was sick. A couple days after we got him, I was folding laundry and I heard him fussing, and then I heard him stop crying, and I came in and they had covered him up in a blanket, tucked him in, were petting his head and gave him a bottle, and were caring for him. So I just wanted to show you this. This is something too, when we're doing abolition work, it's not just like work for adults. You don't have to be like 20 years old to start being an abolitionist, right? And as a parent, we have a responsibility to teach our children the way that we're supposed to live. Christians, following Christ. I hear a lot of parents say, you know, go to school. When you go to school, be nice to everybody. What the heck does being nice mean? We want to teach our kids compassion and mercy and taking in the least of these. The children are 6 and 8 now. This was last year. But teaching them compassion. I think we have some of them, I'm a little biased, but we have some of the most compassionate kids ever. And they're taking care of these kids as well. This is our life. We incorporate this into everything that we do. This is actually one of the abortion mills in Columbus. You can actually kind of tell because the windows are boarded up and there's video cameras everywhere, and they put up this fence a couple months ago. But what's kind of neat about this is the Greater Columbus Right to Life actually called me, because I'm known as like the activist with the signs and the people. And I was sleeping in that morning, and the director calls me. He's like, oh my gosh, there's a Red Cross blood drive at Samuel's Abortion Mill downtown, Sarah. You've got to go there. I can't believe they're taking their good name and doing something good for the community. They're saving lives and getting blood, and on the opposite side of the wall, they're killing babies. It was just such a dichotomy. It was very weird. So that's why you see, give blood, donate inside this abortion mill. Like, don't even associate with these people. What is the Red Cross doing in that place? Heck no. So we put out a press release. I sent out tons of emails to like everybody I know. It's like, call the Red Cross and demand that they never go back to any abortion mill. But then we were citing that specific one. And I had conversations with our regional Red Cross director, and she's like, you know, we're neutral and everything if somebody just asks us to come, and, you know, we need blood, and so we'll go anywhere to get donors. I said, but you realize now the pro-life community knows about this, and now I know about this. You know how many people are not going to want to help you if you continue to go to that place? If you talk about wanting blood and donors, this is not the way to do it, because you're going to lose support by doing something like this. So a little while back, I actually got a message to say that they will actually no longer go inside that building. So that's a good thing, these little battles that we're winning. This is an actual save. I got to hold a baby that was saved this year in April by reaching out. This particular situation, this was one of my patients at Riverside. I actually didn't meet her. I also do sidewalk counseling outside abortion mills. this is not one of these patients, or one of the girls. She actually was a patient of mine. And again, what I said earlier about not really supposed to talk to people about abortion or anything like that, she came in with an unplanned pregnancy, very abortion-minded, had a lot going on, bawling her eyes out when she found out. She found out in the emergency room that she was pregnant. So I got her like 5 minutes after she found out, and she was flipping out. And I calmed her down, I talked to her, offered her hope and all that. She said she was still very abortion-minded. She came into the hospital 2 weeks later. I got her again as a patient, which is like an act of God because it's a huge hospital and I only work part-time. But I got her again as a patient, talked to her again, gave her my personal cell phone number, gave her CPC information, said that there's people out there that will help you. She ended up texting me a couple nights later and said, "Did you really mean what you said? Would you help me?" And I said, "Of course, I will help you." And the next day, I took her to a local CPC, got her another free ultrasound. She didn't have a lot of resources that she needed to take care of her baby. I took her out to lunch occasionally, got her some winter clothes because she was cold, things like that. Loved her. And anyways, because she had some support, she had her baby in April. And she actually asked me to be the godmother of her baby, which is kind of cool. So I missed the delivery. I was supposed to be there, but I was on the GAP project in Virginia at the time, so I missed it by like a couple hours. But that's little Ava, and that's a save. This is one of the abortion mills that I was telling you about earlier that actually shut down this past summer. So we take our victories when we can get them and make a big sign, and we go and take a picture and celebrate for a day that's one less abortion mill and a few less abortions in Columbus. Here is Florida State University. This was in February of this year. These were some students that came out to protest what we were doing there with the signs. They were, you can see the pink shirt, Planned Parenthood supporters. They had their sign, "I love reproductive rights." That cardboard sign in the middle says, "If you can't trust me with my body, how can you trust me with a child?" That whole thing. They were hating and yelling and all that stuff. And there was a guy trying to talk to him and it just wasn't working, and he was with us. And I started to go over there and just started calmly talking to them, answering their questions respectfully. And that was a shot. I didn't know one of my friends was behind me, took this picture, and I just think that that's kind of a neat picture. Look at their faces. Like, it's like maybe the first time they've ever heard truth in their life, maybe, because they're like, huh. Like 15 minutes before that, they were very angry and yelling. There's my 4-foot-tall AHA signs that we have. This is we actually went to get personhood signatures outside a Romney rally a month or two ago, and these are some of the signs that we took, and we have our shirts and our signs and everything. I think that's it, actually, yeah. But I can talk about a million other things that you can do in your everyday life. Simple things. I mean, it might not even be on your mind. I went to buy scrubs the other day because I still do contract ultrasound work. And I went to pay for my scrubs, and the lady at the checkout counter said, "Oh, this is great. You're helping raise awareness for breast cancer by buying this pair of pants right here." And I'm like, "Well, hang on. Well, what kind of?" She goes, "Oh, it's it's Komen. It goes to Komen." I said, "Can I see those pants for a second?" And she said, "Sure." And I took them and I put them back on the rack. And I got another pair of pants, and she's like, "Why the heck? Why did you do that?" And I told her, I'm like, well, Komen gives to abortion and all this stuff. So I wasn't out to purposely talk to that specific cashier about abortion, but I got those pants and I went out and, to my car and got her some abolitionist gear and pamphlets and gave her some information. There's opportunities everywhere. Whether you're out buying clothes, you can do drop cards everywhere. I've put more drop cards, I think, in Central Ohio than, it's like totally just covered. And the thing with one other thing real quick, because I know we're short on time. A couple weeks ago, we went to one of the largest Protestant churches in Columbus that claims to be like one of the most pro-life churches that there is. And we went out there with some signs, and they thought we were just out there for political reasons and things like that. Oh, everybody's hyped up because of politics or whatever. And what was kind of not funny about this, but talking about violence, I haven't had any violence out there yet. But as people were leaving church, I got more middle fingers, more FUs, more. I did get spit on a couple times through the window, didn't actually hit me, as people were leaving church from this church. And as people were coming in, I got a couple emails and Facebook things about, why are you guys there and stuff like that. And somebody had said, well, thank God the election's over and everybody can just settle down. And I wrote, LOL, yeah, that's not happening. So on my thing, they think that the election's over, so we're going away. So even though I'm here in Oklahoma, I have a team going out to that same church tomorrow. This will be the third Sunday in a row. But the first Sunday after the election, they're like, wait, isn't it over? Aren't you guys supposed to go away now? The answer is no. We will be silent when abortion is abolished, and we will hold that church accountable for doing nothing. So I have a team going tomorrow. And we will be there the week after that and the week after that until these pastors actually do something about abortion. They've done it the nice way and tried to talk to them, and they won't talk from the pulpit. They won't let their congregation read about anything or know about anything. So we will take it to the streets, and we will have the congregation as they're leaving to look at it and see it, and then they can come talk to me instead of that pastor or whoever. And so we're hoping to get a meeting with that pastor to wake him up and to agitate him. And love them at the same time. We're never yelling at anybody. We want to help people. We want to love people. We want people to repent and come to Christ. And so yeah, we'll have a team there tomorrow, and winter's coming, but you just bundle up, 0-degree weather. Baby don't have a choice what weather it is the day that they go to die. They just are led to the slaughter. We shouldn't have a choice. If, hey, it's raining outside, we're not just going to, I don't really feel like holding a sign today. Don't let rain stop you from going to save a life, or cold weather. We'll be out there every Sunday until this church wakes up. So